Good morning, everybody. Today, to everyone who has come to hear me, I would like to tell that this is going to be the most powerful lecture for your literature. This is going to be the lecture for the 10th class literature, and today we are going to discuss a very widely discussed poetry of the 10th class, and which is often confusing and which is often a bit tricky for the students who appear for the board examinations in the 10th class. So today, I myself, a student of the 10th class, I am going to explain out this poetry. I am going to bring out this poetry, the meaning of this poetry, the significance of this poetry, and of course, all the elements of the poetry which I am going to talk of. So that is the poetry from obviously from the 10th class syllabus, from the board syllabus, and that forms an important part of the content syllabus of the 10th class. Obviously that forms an important part of it, and because this poetry is so important and it has often been a matter of discussion among the scholars, so therefore I have decided that I am going to bring out the elements of the poetry in my lecture today. So this poetry, I would like to tell, it is the seventh poetry from the 10th class book of the poetries and short stories. It's titled, it is lengthy, titled has been provided, has been given to this poetry, that is I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. So I know why the caged bird sings. That is the particular title, lengthy title, which has been given to the poetry. So we are going to discuss about this poetry. This poetry is based on racial discrimination, and therefore this poetry had a universal appeal, and even today it has a universal appeal. So that is a very important poetry, and that is a very widely discussed poetry. Today we are going to talk of this poetry from the introduction section to the entire elements of this particular poetry. This poetry has been written by the poetess Maya Angelou. So Maya Angelou, who is the poetess for this poetry, she has created this poetry to rise in response, to rise in resentment, to rise in rebellion, in peaceful rebellion to the white settlers, to the people who practice the differentiation in the society. Okay, so that is basically about the unjust behavior, about the injustice, and of course about the restrictions that are being imposed on the people of the black race. So that is the poetry about it, and this is a very important poetry, so it must be discussed now over here only. Okay, so this poetry, it has been written by the poetess who is actually herself a victim of what she is writing, of what she is bringing down to paper by the means of her poetic style and her poetic words. She is bringing the pains, the feelings, and the injustice and the unfair treatment which is being given to the people of the lower caste or the people of the black race. That kind of behavior she is just bringing down to paper. That kind of pain is being brought to paper by her. So that is the credit which goes to her for writing this poetry. So that is why this poetry has been written. That is the background against which this poetry has been written. That all the mankind is made up of the very same blood and flesh. Now, because the inner content, the inner quality, and the inner common caliber which the person can use to just acquire the superior position in the society, okay, so to acquire the deservings which he deserves. So that is the equal caliber and the similar kind of inner nature which has been granted by the Almighty God. And it is equal, it is just the very same for all the mankind, for all the human beings. But some people, it is the common man, it is the common man, it is not the Almighty that has done this kind of, or who has talked about this kind of differentiation, this kind of racial discrimination, that these are the people of the black color, so they will be differentiated on the by the white settlers. So that is the kind of unjust behavior and the injustice meted out to the black Americans or the African Americans over there. Over where? Over in the Arkansas. Now the poetess, she was settled in Arkansas after suffering the traumas of her childhood in her hometown city. So she had suffered a lot in her own childhood, and that is what inspired her to just bring out her pain in her poetry. She came to Arkansas, and when she came to Arkansas, there she noticed that she was being discriminated just for being a feminist writer, just for being a female. That is, she was suffering from the gender based discrimination, and of course from the discrimination that is being practiced on the basis of the color of the skin. That is, the white settlers, they were having a very confident attitude, they were having a very ruling attitude towards the people of the African American race. So that is the entire background of the poetry. And surely, and it is but obvious that the cruelty, that is a kind of cruelty, is being committed against the African Americans, which is but obviously objectionable in the court of the Almighty God. So this is the poetry we are going to study now. It begins with, it has been written by the Maya Angelou, that is very clear, and she is one of the active feminist writers of her time. So this poetry, it begins with the line that a free bird leaps on the back of the wind. So that is the unrestricted movement, unchallenged movement, okay, and very free movement that is being expressed in the very first line only. So one thing more I would like to tell, that how the concept or how it is being talked about a bird, although the entire poem is relating to the conflict between the African American and the white settlers. So actually the thing is that she is trying to portray uh, her pain or her, or the conflict in the society, or the social level in the society, by means of a caged bird and a free bird. Here the caged bird is being represented, it is representing the people who are belonging to the black race, who are the African Americans, and the free bird, it is, of course, it is representing the white Americans who are enjoying the social, religious, cultural freedom, and of course the freedom of speech. So that is the thing. And in the very first stanza, it has been talked about the free bird, that is, it is, of course, it is being talked about the white Americans. Okay, so that is what logic says. And here it has been told, a free bird leaps on the back of the wind. So that is the unrestricted movement. It is leaping on the back of the wind. That is, it is appearing to fly from the ground in the direction of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends. So it freely, it enjoys its flight in the sky in the direction of the air current,